Benjamin Crump, good to see you again. What brings you to Washington, D.C.?
I'm here for the National Bar Association Wiley Branton Symposium. The National Bar Association is the largest association of lawyers of color in the world.
Last time I saw you, we talked on the lawn of the courthouse in Seminole County, Florida, Sanford, Florida, the city, where the trial of the man who shot Trayvon Martin was taking place. And now here we are again in Washington talking about, well, a host of cases you now have that suggest unequal justice.
Since that time we've dealt with, post-verdict and the responses and the reactions, and so it's still a little heartbreaking when you think about it and reflect on it.
There are a lot of people who watched that Trayvon Martin case unfold who said, that Benjamin Crump guy, he's just an ambulance chaser, he's a troublemaker, he's raising these racial issues where they ought not to be raised. How do you respond to that?
I believe we owe it to the Trayvons and the unknown Trayvons to advocate for their lives. Their lives matter. And when nobody gives a damn when a little black or brown child is dead on the ground, I'm going to care, and I'm going to be there, and they can say what they want about me. It's really not about me. It's about trying to defend our children's lives. And then I say, Dewayne, one of the hardest things about the Trayvon situation, and all these people say, oh, why y'all making a big deal of this? He was our child. If we don't speak up for our children, who's going to speak up for our children? The media and the societal institutions, they don't say anything. I represent little black and brown boys all over the country, and we can't get anybody to report on the cases.
But this is the post-racial era.
Well, I'm not sure if that's the case. I think in some ways it's gotten even more challenging since the election of our first African-American president as it relates to racial issues, especially in these civil rights type cases.
And they're mounting. You got the Kendrick Johnson case in Valdosta, Georgia?
Yeah. I'm working with great co-counsels all over the country on bringing attention to these just inexplicable deaths of these black children. Kendrick Johnson is preposterous when you think about the sheriff's man of death, attorney Shaveen King, and we just scratch our head and marvel.
Kendrick Johnson's 17-year-old boy whose body was found inside of a rolled-up mat in a gym in a high school in Valdosta.
Yeah, and the sheriff's cause of death and the medical examiner's manner of death, if they conclude it's an accident, that Kendrick Johnson, this 17-year-old exceptional athlete, played football, basketball, and ran track, climbed into a wrestling mat to get his tennis shoe, got stuck, and stopped breathing. And you say, hold on, that defies all logic, the laws of science and physics, and all common sense when you think about why wouldn't the mat fall? Why would he climb into a mat? Why wouldn't he just tip the mat over and get the shoe? It was a murder, it was a cover-up, and that's the sad part of it. That is a real-life murder mystery, Dewayne. These parents sent their child to school with his book bag. He was returned to them in a body bag.
You're working on a lot of cases that tend, as you would represent them, to be real-life murder mysteries. Ernest Hoskins, Arkansas?
Ernest Hoskins is beyond a murder mystery. Ernest Hoskins is probably the greatest injustice of them all. I mean, Ernest Hoskins was a 21-year-old African-American, had just been recently married to a beautiful young lady, Nikki. She was an Army reservist in college at Arkansas Pine Bluff. They were starting their lives out. He's working, he goes to work, and he's having a luncheon with his employer and 3 other co-workers. His employer, for whatever reason, is getting on them about their sales performance in the last quarter. And so he's going at them. Ernest simply says to him, based on all witness accounts, well, if we're doing so poorly, why don't you get off your couch and show us how to do it? He then gets up, goes and gets his .44 Desert Eagle Magnum gun, comes back and puts the gun to his head and blows his brains out right there in front of the people. Now, it takes over 8 days for him to be arrested, and it's not till his mother and grandmother call me crying and pleading. I fly to Little Rock, we have a press conference and stuff, then finally they arrest him. Insult to injury. He said he didn't mean to kill him. He pulled the trigger, it didn't go off. He was trying to decock it, and that's when the gun went off. Why in the hell were you pointing the gun at his head, and how can you call this an accident? But they let him plead to manslaughter, and he gets 10 years and can be out of jail in 2.5. If you reverse those facts, Dewayne, would anybody believe that if Ernest Hoskins shot his employer Christopher Reynolds point blank range in front of 3 eyewitnesses, that he wouldn't be facing the death penalty?
Okay. What does this say to you about the scales of justice in this country?
It says to me that the rules are a lot different when you have the victim identified as a minority, or you have the altercation, if you're law enforcement, with a minority. It is not equal justice under the law, and that is the problem. We got to make it equal for everybody, every American, black, white, red, or brown. And unfortunately, because we have videos, we see with our own eyes that it's not equal.
Benjamin Crump, thanks for talking with me. I know we're going to have more conversations about this case and others.
Thank you, Dewayne, for covering these matters. These families, thank you.
Thank you.